What's up and welcome back to another video. I haven't been making too many videos lately because for one, the market's been down, it's been pretty boring and not that many people are watching crypto YouTube, so the videos don't get crazy views anyway, so there's not much point. And also I've mainly been focusing on looking for coins, trading coins, just researching things and looking for opportunities, right, to prepare for the bull run, and also working in my day job to accumulate cash in order to deploy when the market's really bullish again, right? So I can size up when the market's bullish again. So that's what I've been doing recently. And then when the bull run hits again, then I can start pushing out some more YouTube videos more often. But I'm still going to try and get out an update here and there. Even if it's not that much, I'm still going to put out a video with a basic update of what I've been looking at. And by the way, if you want to keep a closer eye on what I'm doing, you want to stay updated with everything I'm doing, the coins I'm looking at, the coins I'm trading, my market analysis and all that stuff, or you want to talk to me in the chat, then feel free to join Discord if you want. It's down in the description below and you can see everything that I'm up to in there every day. So there are quite a lot of opportunities popping up here and there. There are some runners in the market. There's things happening, right? And I'm thinking the market's probably starting to bottom out, right? Maybe we go lower. I don't really know for sure. But I think if we're not at the bottom, I think it's close. Right? I think it's close. Based on the 4-year cycle, we should be looking at October, November kind of time this year until the reversal happens and we start going back up. That's based on the 4-year cycle. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to repeat exactly the same. But so far, based on history, it's been pretty accurate, right? Eerily accurate, actually. So it might just happen the same way again, right? It might just be a little bit off by a couple of months or something. But yeah, until it proves otherwise, I'm just going to assume that as the most likely scenario that's going to happen. And if we look at Bitcoin here, it kind of had steep sell-offs, right? All of this was steep, okay? And then it's had like a lower low here, it's had a low here, and it's had a lower low. But this lower low is only slightly lower than this low, okay? And this is also sitting above the previous bull run's peak, okay? Which is obviously a strong support. And it's kind of, yeah, like I say, it's only printed a shallow lower low. It hasn't gone really deep like these ones did back here. It's had one big drop and then another big drop and then a third big drop, but the low on this third big drop was only just below the previous drop, okay? And it was kind of the same back here in the last bull run. Back here, see? Like this was a low here, and then this low here was only slightly shallower than this low. Whereas the drops back here, the lows were significantly lower than the previous lows. And that was 1, 2, 3 drops, okay? And then this low was a shallower one. Same thing as what we've got going on over here. And these cycles are pretty much based on psychology, right? So these patterns do tend to repeat because it's just, it's people selling and then people thinking, oh no, we're going back up, and then people selling again and panicking. And, the psychological cycles repeat. And this is why these patterns play out so many times. This is why these patterns play out over and over again. It's because they're based on psychology, and psychology, it just repeats itself. Humans are all basically the same. They just do the same things on repeat. Think about a dog. They all play fetch. You throw a stick and a dog goes and fetches it, right? Humans are the same way, but just much more complex. But they still have the same habits on repeat. And this is why these cycles play out, because they just follow the same patterns over and over again. Same way as a dog does, but just on a more complex level. So anyway, that's why I think the Bitcoin's probably coming to a bottom, and soon enough, I think the bull run's going to happen again, and we're going to be seeing some much bigger runners. So we have been seeing some runners lately. This is one I almost caught, Humcat here. I was trying to get into this one. I was watching it ever since about 400k, down right at the bottom. Well, not right at the bottom, near the bottom. 400k is when I first found it. And this did like over a 50x. Or where did it go to? In fact, since I very first saw it, it did almost 100x or like a 70 or 80x or something like that. So kind of annoying I missed that one. But hey, it happens. Happens all the time in these kind of coins, right? You're never going to catch them all. But this is just to show like that there is some runners, even though they're not as crazy runners as they were in the bull run. Although that will come back. There is still some runners. So if there's some runners now like this, there's runners quite often. Like the markets in the trenches and stuff, the markets are still doing okay. They're still kind of lively. They're not completely dead. There's still stuff going on. So when the markets get good again, there's going to be probably loads of runners, and then towards the late cycle, there's probably going to be some big runners. Well, I don't know exactly how it's going to go. Maybe there's going to be big runners first, and then there's going to be loads of little runners, or just best of both worlds, loads of little runners and big runners. There's going to be loads of runners. There's going to be runners all over the place. So it's going to be a lot of fun, right? So yeah, kind of annoying I missed that one. I did catch this coin the other day, Delta. So this is a pretty good play on Robinhood right now. I bought this one in this accumulation zone right here at the bottom. I was buying pretty much around 600k. I think my average was about 650k on this one. So I caught like a 4x, a 4 or a 5x with a half decent sized bag. So I'm pretty happy with that. Can't complain with that in a bear market. But I think this coin's probably still good for the long term as well. I think it can still go higher, especially if the market's in a bull run and all of the Robinhood coins go higher, because Robinhood's pretty bullish. Obviously, Robinhood's the new shiny chain on the block. I think it's kind of similar to Base Chain in the last cycle. Base Chain came out and, there was lots of big projects on Base Chain that did pretty well because it was the shiny thing at the time. And now we've got Robinhood. So in the next bull run, if there's not another chain that comes out that outshines Robinhood, then this is probably going to be the one. Or even if there is another chain that comes out that's better, this is probably still going to be shiny and new, right? Because it's Robinhood. And it's a great way to onboard normies from stocks as well. Like, when the bull run's hitting and, stock investors, they're using their Robinhood app and they see that that Robinhood has its own chain, they can just download the Robinhood wallet and then they can be onboarded into crypto. Nice and easy like that. Crypto is becoming more and more simple to onboard normies into crypto, right? It's becoming simpler to use because crypto obviously used to be really complicated, and over time it's becoming easier and more simpler to understand on a basic level. Where it's becoming easier to use on a basic level, maybe not to understand it deeply, but just to basically use it and to get involved is becoming easier and easier. But this project's pretty cool anyway. You should look into it. It's basically like Meteora, which is Solana liquidity pools. It went to like 300 or 400 million in the bull run, and this is currently sitting at 1.6 million. So yeah, this is basically like the Meteora of Robinhood is what they're trying to be. So if they accomplish in that goal, then this could do some crazy numbers. I got a little bag of this token called Lock. This is obviously a pretty degen play, 100k market cap. But this project seems pretty good for that market cap level. For 100k, this coin seems pretty good in what they're doing. They're trying to basically be like Streamflow, which is a token locker for Solana, and this is basically the same thing but for Robinhood Chain, right? And it's only 100k market cap, so obviously it's a bit of a gamble. It's 100k market cap, very degen. It was at only 4k the other day. I don't know how it's at 4k. It looks like a pretty good project to be at 4k, but I don't know how you would catch something that's at 4k though, because you've got no information to go off if you buy that low. The reason the price goes up to 100k or whatever is because they've posted something or something's happened publicly that causes the price to go up because people are starting to buy in. But obviously if it's all the way down to 4k, then there's probably nothing going on. So unless you have insider information, I don't know how you would buy at that price. But anyway, I think this one's a pretty good little gamble play. If it catches on, could do a 10x or more, I guess. This is another AI play or an AI agent play on Robinhood Chain, which is built on virtuals. 2 million market cap right now. By the way, pretty much all of these coins I'm just watching. I don't really hold that many coins. I like to try and get into a coin when the timing looks good and then ride it temporarily most of the time. I'm not really a big fan of just buying and holding something forever because you end up diversifying too much. You spread yourself too thin. You've got like $2 in each coin, and then one of them goes up and you make $10, and then all the others just do nothing or whatever. You don't make much money that way. I prefer to just find something that looks like a good bet and then size in to that, right? Or just a few things at a time. I don't like to spread myself too thin, right? I don't think that's a good strategy. It is a good strategy if you're buying blue chips. If you're buying blue chips and you diversify among the blue chips, that's a good strategy because most of them are going to do something, right? They're going to go up a little bit at least. So you diversify in order to spread the gains out to protect yourself. But if you're going to buy the low cap coins, most of them are going to go bad. Most of them are going to go to shit, right? Most of them. So you need to be more active. You need to be managing your positions, and you don't want to be just blindly holding these things forever because most of them do fail, right? But anyway, this is what I'm watching. Looks pretty good. And there's so many of these coins on Robinhood right now, or on all chains actually. There's just so many coins in the market in general. But I'm focusing on Robinhood right now because again, it's the new shiny chain, and I think it's going to have a really good bull run. So this is another AI agents project I'm watching on virtuals again. It did have this massive wick up here, so I'm not really sure who sold here. Maybe it was the team. A lot of people are going to be speculating that because there's always someone on X or whatever that is just screaming from the rooftops, scam, scam, scam. Whether to believe these people, you don't know, right? You don't know unless they've got concrete evidence. But maybe this was the team selling, or maybe this was just some sort of cabal that got in and then they all just dumped at the same time, or I don't know what this wick was, but that does show a lot of selling pressure. It says a lot of buying pressure too, but also a lot of selling pressure. So I don't know if this is gonna kind of floor out. I'm kind of watching this one. I did actually buy into this one, but then I sold it again because I'm not really too sure about this wick, and I'm not too sure if it's going to bleed out a little bit more. And also, I mainly sold it to actually buy something else that I thought looks pretty good. But I'm not going to talk about that one because I would actually like to accumulate more of that one. I would like it to have a bit of a dip, so I'm not going to speak about it here, just in case this video gets like a few hundred views and some people start buying it. I don't want that to happen. I want to buy some more on the dip, so I'm not going to talk about that one. But man, there's a lot of projects that seem to have potential on Robinhood Chain. So this is another one that looks like it could be potential good entry now. Karma. This is kind of like a Phantom wallet. Phantom wallet. It's kind of basically like Phantom wallet. So whether it can compete with Phantom, I don't know. Maybe it can, maybe it can't. But I'm just watching the chart, really. I'm mainly watching the chart. And if the chart's showing me a good entry or whatever, then maybe I'll hop in. And again, maybe this is bottoming now, or maybe it's just going to continue to bleed lower. I don't know. I'm just watching it for now. I'm just watching it. The volume is very low on this right now. Only 5.3k. So that's extremely low for something of 939k market cap. So that's not the best sign. But man, there's a lot of these coins on Robinhood Chain, and again, if you want to keep up to date with all the ones I'm looking at and stuff, then just join the Discord in the description below if you want, because I can't squeeze it all into YouTube videos. I'm going to be spending all day, every day making YouTube videos. I ain't got the time for that right now. So I can't be doing that. There's just too many damn coins. But there has been some good runners on Robinhood Chain, right? Like this one, Stonk Broker, went from obviously 0 all the way up to over 100 mil. Obviously, you know about Cash Cat, that went to like 200 mil or something. Yeah, Cash Cat went to about 230 mil. This RWA coin index went to 60 mil at the peak because Vlad Tenev, the CEO of Robinhood, actually followed this project on X. So that's why it skyrocketed a lot. And now it could be bottoming out here. Again, this is another one I'm just watching. It's kind of high in market cap. But if you look at it in the long term, if you look at it to kind of buy, if you're interested in buying it now and then waiting until the bull run, then maybe you can still make a lot of gains out of this. But again, like I said before, most of these coins do not succeed. So I don't really want to be holding on to these coins long term unless I've got some sort of conviction in them, right? Which I don't have conviction in most of them. Again, most of them don't succeed. So why would I force my conviction in these coins that don't succeed? Doesn't make any sense. If I see something that's looking promising, I'll buy it. And then if I see signs that maybe it's not very promising, then I'll sell it. And then I'll move the funds into something else that looks promising. Crypto 101. Don't marry your bags. But yeah, I'm definitely keeping a close eye on the Robinhood chain. This one as well, What If, which is a trending one. This had a pretty nice run recently. Nothing too insane like some of the other ones, but it's gone to 30 million, which is pretty respectable in this current market conditions. I think Crypto Archie has been pushing this one forwards, which is probably helping it a lot. Maybe there's some other strong community members involved in this as well. I don't know. I haven't been following it because it's a little bit of a high market cap for me to get in for a meme coin. In terms of meme coins, I want to be finding them down here. I want to be finding them ideally sub 1 mil. But maybe I'll get in a little bit later than that. But these days, by the time it's kind of up these levels, I'm not really that interested. Although it could still go a lot higher, and it could still do like a 50x or something like that in the bull run. So maybe I'll keep an eye on this one actually for a long-term coin. Yeah, I mean it's okay at this level. Again, normally I try to find coins back here, but some coins, if they're showing good strength and the narrative is good enough, then I'll watch them at these kind of levels. So maybe this one's good. This kind of, I'm on the fence about it, but I think it's okay. So other than these Robinhood coins, I've also been focusing on these Binance coins, specifically coins that are listed on Binance futures. So not tiny little degen coins like I've been looking for on Robinhood Chain. I'm looking for the really tiny coins that are early, because Robinhood Chain's an early ecosystem, right? And I'm trying to find the coins that are early that could be big in the bull run, right? I'm trying to look for the coins that are early, maybe even for a short-term trade, but I'm also looking for things that could have like longer-term staying power, right? So if I can find the early projects that can succeed in the early Robinhood ecosystem, you could catch like a massive runner. You could catch like 1000x or something. It's possible. So that's where I like to divert my focus on the Robinhood chain for the most part. But on Binance, I'm mainly looking at the bigger coins that are like, 10 million, 20 million, or something around there. I'm mainly looking for those kind of range, and that it's listed on exchanges. I'm looking for ones that are actually listed on exchanges and specifically listed on Binance Futures, because Binance Futures has a shitload of volume. And if all the Binance Futures traders get involved in these coins, they can run hard. Even though they're at 10, 20 million market cap, they can still run hard. So this one happened recently, TUT, which I think right now is about 10 million or something like that. I can't remember. But this one had a 50x pump out of nowhere. As you can see, it just went directly up. This is on the 4-hour chart here. So each candle represents 4 hours. So in a day or two, this just skyrocketed 50x. Okay. And it has come down a lot now, but that doesn't matter because we're not really looking for long-term things here, right? We're just looking for a massive pump and then to sell on the pump, right? Which keeps happening on these Binance coins. If you don't focus on these Binance coins, then I'd recommend you pay a little bit of attention to them because some of them are having some massive pumps. Right? They're having some massive crazy pumps. And this is one of them right here. This is another one that's done it. I think this is at 250 million market cap at this point. And this is another coin that did it, right? So this is an AI gaming coin. It just randomly pumped all the way up to about 250 million market cap, which it did an 8,000% gain, which is about 80x, I believe. This is another one that did it recently. Look, just a massive pump. It pumped loads. You could have taken your profits. Obviously, it dumped. You've got to take your profits on these, though. You've got to take your profits because at the moment, in the current bearish market conditions, these coins are not holding up. This is just all the futures traders hopping in. They're, they're going in with massive leverage. They're bidding the price up, and then they're all selling and taking profit afterwards. That's what's basically happening. Obviously, there's probably some insider activity going on too, which I don't know about that for sure, so I'm not really going to get into it, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's something like some sort of price manipulation going on. Who knows, right? But anyway, this did a 1,800% gain, which is an 18x. I thought it did more than that. But hey, that's still pretty good anyway. Actually, yeah, this coin started at 50 million market cap, so yeah, about an 18x. For a coin starting at 50 million market cap, that's pretty good. And look how stable the price action was before the pump, right? So you could have held through this. It's not very volatile. It is still volatile, but it's not as volatile as some other coins, right? Like this is a pretty comfy hold. So you would have had to stomach less volatility and you still would have gone 18x pump out of it. And then when it came back down, it just came back to this pump. It just came back to this level anyway. Okay. So you wouldn't even, if you were holding through this pump, you wouldn't even if you round tripped it, you wouldn't have lost anything, right? So some of these coins are pretty good. It's a similar situation for a coin that I'm holding right now, which is BluAI, which this is about 15 million market cap. Like a lot of these Binance AI coins, or just Binance coins, but specifically the AI ones most of the time, they're having these massive pumps. And this one did have this massive pump here. It went up to the all-time high resistance here and it came back down. But it's not nearly as big as some of the other pumps we've been seeing. So I'm thinking this is kind of like a test pump. Like I'm thinking this has wiped out some of the leverage that's up here and now it's come back down. I think later, now that it's taken out a lot of the positions that have been sitting up here, it's taken out some of the orders, right? It's came up, it's tested resistance and it's rejected off of it. And at some point, I think we're going to go back up there and I think it's going to push, it's going to have a breakout way higher than this here. So I'm holding this one because I think it can have that all-time high breakout. And I thought it was going to happen here, but it didn't happen yet. So I just have to be patient and then wait for it and then hope it happens later. And again, it pumped up to there and then it's just dropped straight back to down here again. So it's as if nothing even happened really. But yeah, I'm holding this for a bigger pump that I think will happen sooner or later. And here's another one that I'm in that has a similar setup to BluAI, where it's come up to the previous all-time high from where it launched and it's kind of testing that as resistance now. And if it can break above that and then flip it into support, often you get a big breakout and a big push higher. So I'm in this on a leverage position right now. Stop loss is down here. And my plan is to basically DCA into the position carefully because there's no sign of a breakout yet. It's just got this kind of pre-breakout. So it could come back down. It could lose momentum and it could not happen, right? It could get rejection. But it is holding up against the highs. So if it does push through, then I can, I'm slowly DCAing in now, front running the breakout. And then if it does break out, then I can, I could double down on it and I can move the stop loss tighter to manage my risk. And, this is basically the trade I'm taking on this. So this is looking like a pretty good setup, because when a coin comes up to its major resistance level, like especially on a chart like this where it's dumped to the launch and then it's kind of had like reaccumulation, it's had like accumulation going on at the bottom and then it returns to its highs, you know, often when it breaks that high, it does have like a push higher. Okay, there's a common thing that happens. So I kind of like this setup. So I've got a leverage position open on this one because this one isn't as volatile as BluAI. I wouldn't want a leverage position open on this because it's so volatile. Look at these massive wicks. The market makers on this are crazy. They're just, you know, they're having these massive wicks. They're liquidating everyone all over the place. It's choppy as it's really all over the place. So I wouldn't want to be on this on leverage. So I'm just holding a spot bag of this one. But yeah, a lot of these Binance coins, especially the Binance AI coins, you know, a lot of these are having some runs. So these are worth watching. And again, there's loads of these coins. There's loads and loads of them that I'm trying to keep an eye on. I'm trying to find as many as I can. I'm trying to catch the next big pump. So again, if you want to keep a closer eye on what I'm doing, join the Discord down in the description. Also, before you go, if you didn't drop a like, please drop one now. I would appreciate it a lot. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Or I'll see you in the Discord.